It is time for business news with Ari Rabinovich. Hello, Ari.
Cynthia.
Now, we've been getting a look all this week about how much money the tech giants are making, which is a lot, of course.
And you know what? We have more of that, actually, Cynthia, with two big companies reporting today, joining Microsoft and Meta Platforms, which we did earlier this week. So Apple first, they beat last quarter, which means that they had better results than what analysts were expecting in terms of profits and revenue. Specifically, iPhone revenue, they sold more iPhones than expected last quarter, although sales of Mac computers did fall behind slightly. Now, Apple sold way more iPads than expected last quarter as well. There were some newer models that were just released, so a lot of people wanted to get on those. And sales for Apple's so-called other products, that may include AirPods, for instance, was also above analyst estimates. So it all seems like good news on the surface, but investors apparently have mixed feelings in after-hours trading because sales in China continue to decline, and that may be a sticking point for investors because China is the world's largest economy, and they do like iPhones and other devices just as much as anywhere else. So if China is falling behind on sales, that may spell bad news for Apple overall. Now, we also heard from Amazon today, Cynthia. So we're getting into a lot of these tech results, and what Amazon does differently is they also have online sales for pretty much everything, as you see here. So they actually fell behind last quarter for online sales revenue. And advertising revenue was up 20%. Those are the little ads that you see on their website and such. Although it was up 20%, that was less than what analysts were calling for. So it's not the best earnings results overall, but one area where investors do like is Amazon Web Services. That's their cloud computing, but also a gauge on their artificial intelligence investments. So growth in that department was up by 19% year over year, which was more than expected. And we kind of had similar results yesterday from Meta Platforms and also from Microsoft earlier this week, that it's all about artificial intelligence, and Amazon is not falling behind in that regard, Cynthia.
Interesting. Okay, when you think Canada Goose, you probably think winter parkas, but the company is cashing in on some other products as well, Ari.
Yeah, because, winter parkas, it's only a quarter of the year in theory, or maybe half the year if you're in Canada. So, yeah, you can't just sell parkas and expect to stay on top of sales. So what else can Canada Goose make? They did start going with lighter jackets and sweaters, but now it's going a step further. They want to get more into the spring and summer fashion trends. So Canada Goose actually did pretty well last quarter, selling things like T-shirts, raincoats, and get this, sunglasses. Yeah, and I'm thinking a lot of this might have to do with branding more than keeping you warm, obviously. Not sure how sunglasses do that unless they have a fur-lined trim on them, which would make you have kind of weird eyebrows. But anyway, that's just my imagination running wild. In China as well, similar to iPhones, China sales actually were continuing to rise. So it looks like by having some more versatility in their product line, Cynthia, Canada Goose is finding a way to stay profitable in other markets where winters are not necessarily as bad as ours.
Seems like a smart business decision. I'm sensing a quirkier side that I didn't know you had there, Ari.
Well, there's another story we're going to get into to make you see that as well.
All right, so we move from Canada Goose to perhaps the most quintessential Canadian product, maple syrup, and it's been flowing well this year.
No, that's a good one too, Cynthia. So, yes, this is about as Canadian of a story as we could find today, and actually it is a pretty striking story. So maple syrup, of course, is only a very short time of the year that it could be harvested. And because of this particular winter season, it was an unusually early start with the milder conditions we had. So maple syrup producers managed to bring in 239 million pounds of the sweet stuff. There was so much this year that the Quebec Maple Syrup Producers Group has been able to add to its, get this, strategic reserve stockpiles.
Reserves?
That kind of phrasing, Cynthia, is something we only really hear otherwise for crude oil production. So this is about as Canadian of a metric as you can get. So they're saying because of the extra syrup that was stashed in warehouses, it tops up the supply chain in case of future leaner harvests like we saw in 2021 or 2023, because you don't want to run out of maple syrup when those pancakes come to your table. So if you have a weaker season, it keeps the price of maple syrup kind of even. And sometimes on our radio station here, 680 News, we like to quote oil prices and gold prices. I don't see why we can't talk about maple syrup prices.
Maple syrup prices. Ari, you're the best. Thanks for joining us.
We try.
Good to see you.